What's up, y'all? You are listening to the Lawns and Life podcast, built for DIYers who like to learn, grow, and have a little bit of fun along the way. I'm your host, Devin, the DIY lawn coach, and as always, I am so happy to have you back for another week. So it's no doubt that taking care of your lawn seems to get more and more and more expensive every single year. Rising fuel costs, rising cost of fertilizers. It's almost out of control. And so today I want to give you 5 tips or strategies that I use to help me take care of my lawn and get awesome results while trying to save money and conserve and do the right thing. So if you like saving money, you're going to absolutely love this podcast. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. Hope you have had a great week. Again, thank you so much for coming back. If you like saving money, you're going to absolutely love this episode. Again, I'm going to give you 5 tips or 5 strategies that I use every single day when I'm thinking about my lawn to help me save money. Who doesn't like saving money? I mean, we talk about all of the rising costs of fertilizer and the cost of water and the cost of fuel and fungicides. I mean, those things, the prices don't ever seem to come down. They only ever seem to go up. And it seems like there are 1,000 ways to lose money or to waste money in lawn care. And we all love saving money. And so I'm going to give you 5 tips again, as I said. But before we do that, before we get too hot and heavy, let's do this week's Mindful Moment.
It can be hard to slow down and notice things in a busy world. Mindful Moments is where we pause for a moment to reflect on the here and now. After all, life is happening now. We simply need to take time to notice. These small yet profound experiences remind us that life is not about the destination, but the journey we take to get there.
So today's mindful moment, I want to talk about acceptance. What it is, what it means, and how do you truly accept something? So let's start with the definition of acceptance. Acceptance is the action of consenting to receive or undertake something offered. Now, if you're anything like me, you are a control freak. There's so many aspects of my life that I do not have control over. And I think that's why I really like taking care of my lawn, is because I feel like I'm in control. And that's just something that I really enjoy, and it makes me feel good. And I'm sure that you're the same way. I used to think that accepting something meant that I was in agreement. I have a problem with this definition because it says the action of consenting. To me, consenting means that you're okay with it, that you agree with it. And I don't believe that acceptance, true acceptance, means that you have to like something or agree with something. I learned that really valuable lesson when I was struggling with insomnia. I was in so much resistance to what I was thinking and feeling and trying to push all of those things away. And I wasn't accepting of it. And when I say the word acceptance, whatever comes to your mind, whatever you think about accepting, whether it's accepting another person and who they are, or accepting of what's going on in your life, a current situation, whatever you're dealing with, accepting it doesn't mean that you have to like it. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with it. True acceptance is just understanding and saying, hey, it is what it is. I see it. I feel it. I hear it. And I'm going to move forward with a positive attitude. And that's really, really, really hard for us, the people that are control freaks, because we feel like accepting it for what it is means that we're giving up. And I want to tell you that whatever that thing is that you think about when you think about acceptance doesn't mean that you're giving up. It just means that you're going to accept it for what it is, and then move forward with a positive attitude. So leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts and your views are on acceptance. I would absolutely love to hear from you, and I hope that you enjoyed this week's Mindful Moment. All right, guys, so let's get into the meat of the podcast. Who doesn't like saving money, right? And so that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. This question actually came from a channel member. So I just want to say thank you to my channel members. I really, really do appreciate it. A question came in. He said, hey, what are some ways that I can not only get some really great results in my lawn, but also try to save money? And I think that resonates with everybody. We all like saving money, not just in lawn care. It's really every aspect of our life. We want our money that we work hard for to go further. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to saving money is focusing on the cost per use. Specifically, fertilizers, fungicides, herbicides, pesticides, things like that. Anytime you're applying something to your lawn, fertilizer, an herbicide, I want you to always think about the cost per use. And what that means is not the cost per bag or the cost per bottle. It's the cost per use, per application. For example, if we're taking a bag of fertilizer and we're looking at comparing one fertilizer to another, break it down to a cost per 1,000 square feet. Don't look at it and say, well, this bag is $35 and this bag is $75. Because that $35 bag of fertilizer could actually cost you, say, $1 per 1,000, where that $75 bag of fertilizer could cost you 50 cents per 1,000. And so a lot of times we get caught up in saying, hey, I don't want to spend more, I want to spend less. But if you evaluate your cost per application, yes, you may end up paying a little bit more upfront, but one strategy that I use to save money is to review things based on the cost per 1,000. Now, there is a caveat to this. Because at a certain point, I have a really large lawn, 20,000 square feet. And so when I buy a bag of fertilizer or I buy a 1-gallon container of fungicide or herbicide, how long is that going to last me? And that's a question that you have to ask yourself, because these things don't last forever. But typically speaking, the larger the volume of container that you can buy, generally you get a better cost. Now, sure, there's going to be a more upfront cost because you're buying more of it. But if you're going to use it within a reasonable time and you compare that versus maybe a smaller, container, well, then it may end up saving you money. And the only way you're ever going to know that is by always evaluating the cost per use and not the cost per bottle, okay? So the second strategy that I use to save money is around watering. Watering is probably one of the single biggest costs inputs that I have in my lawn. And every year I really do focus on trying to reduce that cost. Now I'm on city water. I've got a separate meter, so I do pay for water. And there are certain times of the year that if you want to have a really nice lawn, again, remember that viewer, he was asking for results. We're trying to get good results. And in order to get good results, you're going to have to water your lawn. And so the first thing that I would challenge you to do when it comes to water is make sure that you're watering deep. And so what we mean by deep is watering a 1/2 inch with every watering. I can't tell you how many times I drive around my neighborhood or I talk to people and they tell me that they water every single day or every other day, and they literally have no idea how much water they're putting down. Matter of fact, I just had a neighbor who had an irrigation system put in, and I took those little yellow cups over to his lawn and we helped measure out, and he was blown away by the amount of water he was going to have to put down. It wasn't the amount, because the amount was half an inch. It was the amount of runtime. He thought, hey, I just have to run it for 10 minutes per zone. Well, turns out he had to run it for 35 minutes per zone to get a half inch of water. But why that is so important is because when we water deep, we're driving that water below the surface. We're getting it deep down, protected from the sun. And that water goes further. So we end up using less water when we water the right way. The second way that helps me save money when it comes to watering is I bought a $10 rain gauge off of Amazon, and I put it out in my little natural area, and I use that to help me gauge how much water I need to water every single week. If I get a half inch of water during a rainfall event, well, then I know I only have to make up that other half inch with my watering. And so buying that $10 little rain gauge has absolutely helped save me money, because I'm not watering when I don't necessarily need to. And that's really going to drive my next point, is watering when you don't need to. Watch your lawn. Let your lawn tell you when it needs water, when it is thirsty. You'll watch the grass blades, they'll shrivel up, they'll kind of curl in a little bit. You'll get that gray hue to your lawn. It's okay. Your lawn is very resilient. Let it go. Let it tell you when you need to water. I find that most people, especially people with irrigation systems, overwater their lawn. And so if you want to control one of the biggest cost inputs for your lawn, you really need to control the amount of water, and don't water when your lawn doesn't need it. And the last thing that I do that really helps me save on watering is I watch the weather. I'm very much in tune with when they're calling for rain, when it's cloudy, when it's going to be hot, looking at the humidity. Don't underestimate the role that humidity plays in watering. Sometimes when it's hot and humid, you really don't need to water that much. Even when it's cool and dry, you'll be surprised you have to water when it's cool and dry before it's hot and humid, because even that dry air will dry out your grass more sometimes than that heat and humidity. So if you pay attention to the weather, you're watering deep, you got a rain gauge, and you're letting the lawn tell you when it needs water, as long as you're following those tips, you will absolutely save money when it comes to watering. The third tip that I want to give you around saving money is buying quality where you can. And that starts with quality equipment. And when I say quality, what I'm talking about is buying as good of equipment as you can afford. You know, I learned it from a young age, right? Like, buying quality means that it should last you longer. That doesn't always bode true, but generally speaking, if you buy something of higher quality, generally it will last longer. And we talked about the very first tip was the cost per use. Well, look at your cost per use on something that's quality. If you're gonna plan on keeping a lawnmower for 10, 12, 15, 20 years, buying a good one will reduce your cost of ownership over that period of time. So if you really want to save money, buy quality spreaders, quality hedge trimmers, quality mowers, weed eaters, all those things. And if you take care of them, they will take care of you, and you will save money down the road. Another one that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to quality is quality grass seed. When it comes to grass seed, a high quality grass seed's not only going to be easier to take care of, it's going to be less prone to fungus and less prone to disease, which you're going to find out in my next tip, taking care of all those things is really expensive. Not to mention, a high quality grass seed is going to look better. It's going to require less inputs from you to try to get it to look better. If you buy a cheap grass seed and it doesn't have that deep, dark, rich color that you're looking for, well, then you're going to have to supplement with iron and fertilizers and things to help get that lawn to look the way that you want. Again, all of this is under the preface that we're trying to get good results. So buy quality where you can, and it will absolutely save you money in the long run. So I just mentioned before, buying quality, right? Like taking care of your stuff. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. How many times have you heard that in your life? Well, that is absolutely true when it comes to lawn care. If you want to save money, it is so much cheaper and less expensive and much less time to do things preventatively ahead of the issue. So if you deal with fungus, it is much cheaper to be proactive and put down a preventative fungicide. If you have an issue with grubs, it is so much less expensive to put down a preventative to stop grubs. Crabgrass, good gracious, it is so inexpensive to treat for crabgrass in the spring. And then it is to have to apply all these herbicides and things afterwards to try to kill all the crabgrass. Just put down your preventatives. If you are not on a preventative schedule, then you are absolutely missing an opportunity to try to save money. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So think about that in everything that you're doing, whether it's your fungicides, your herbicides, your pesticides. Try to get things down ahead, and that'll save you the headache of repairing the damage, the cost of grass seed, the cost of water, all those things that are associated with trying to repair the damage when you could have just taken care of it and finished it in the first place. And then tip number 5, the last tip that I have for you, is something that I absolutely wholeheartedly believe in, and that is integrated pest management. And if you're not familiar with integrated pest management, or IPM, what that means is that we don't apply anything to the lawn that is really not needed, okay? So like I mentioned with tip number 4, if you don't have a problem with grubs, then don't put down anything for grubs. If you don't have a problem with crabgrass, then don't put anything down for crabgrass. It seems like really simple, right? Like, don't apply things when you don't need them. And that all starts with making sure that you're properly identifying fungus. Let's say you do have a fungus in the lawn. The first question I always ask is it going to harm your turf? Like, is it going to hurt you? Is it going to hurt your turf? And if it's not, then let it go. There's no reason to apply anything. What about applying an herbicide? Could you maybe hand pull that weed as opposed to going out and buying an herbicide? Sure. So hand pull those weeds where you can. Hand pulling doesn't cost you any money. So don't apply anything to your lawn if it's not needed. Just like water, we talked about the number 1 tip, right? Like saving water. If you don't need to apply water to your lawn, don't water your lawn. It's really that simple. But integrated pest management is something that I wholeheartedly believe in. It's not only good for you, it's not only good for your turf, it's good for your wallet, it's good for the environment. So if you apply all 5 of these tips, again, integrated pest management, watering, focus on the cost per use, buying quality where you can, taking the approach of an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. All of these I apply every single day with every decision that I make in the lawn, and it absolutely makes a difference. Way more than trying to, shop for a sale, and all those things are great. You can shop for sales, buy things when they're on sale. That's great. Stock up at the end of the year. Those are all fantastic tips, and those will save you money, no doubt. But if you want to save money year after year after year after year, practice these 5 tips, and I promise they will save you. All right, guys, so that just about does it for the podcast. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Of course, these are just 5 simple ways that I save money. There are 1,000 more ways to save money. So if you want, leave me a comment down below. Let's talk about it. If you've got a question about anything that I said in the podcast, please leave me a comment down below. I will do my best to make sure and answer those. As always, make sure you like this podcast, give it a like, leave me a comment, and then share this with a friend. Share this with somebody who you think this might help out. Thank you so much for coming back for another week. I hope you guys have an amazing week. I will see you in the next one. My name is Devin. I'm the DIY Lawn Coach, and I can't wait to see you on the lawn. Peace.